If you have questions, concerns, and are just lost when it comes to planning for retirement, meet Steve Hoyle and Derek Caldwell of the Hoyle Financial Group. Steve, give me just real quick, why is it so important to be proactive now, especially as we are about to enter this crazy election season?
I mean, this country, one, is so divided. I don't care if you're blue, red, or purple, however you vote. You need to vote. That's so important. But, I don't think it matters who's going to get elected. I think what we're going to have is chaos after the election. This country's so divided. But you know what? What a great opportunity to not worry about what's happening on Wall Street, what's happening in Washington, what's happening on your street. What a great opportunity to take control of your money. A lot of people talk about the holidays. They talk about Father's Day, and they talk about family. Tell me how many fathers worried. What does the future look like for my family? Have I done the hard work for retirement? I think it's a huge question you have to ask yourself. And I always say that around the holidays. People get together and, will you be able to continue to do this in retirement? It's totally up to you to take control of your financial future. I have so many people call Jess, they'll call Derek and I, and they have one question. And it's that one question that opens it all up.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. And I like what you said about controlling it. I always have this saying, it's like, control what you can control. Other than voting, right? That's all you can do about the election. Right. Win or lose, whatever your side you're on, that kind of thing. What happens with electronic currency, those kind of things. Control your own finances. Sit down with somebody who will help you have that plan. Because, Jess, it's night and day difference between people who plan in advance and the people that wait until, hey, I'm about to walk away or I want to walk away. Because there is nothing worse in my profession, my job, in my opinion, of telling somebody who's gung-ho about retiring that, hey, at the end of this year I'm going to retire, and I show them the numbers and we start walking through their portfolio and it's not there. And I tell them,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I tell them you cannot retire. I can't, in good conscience, let you just walk off right now because of what you have done in the past without planning. And that's a terrible thing to tell people, but we're open and honest here. I'm going to tell you these things.
But Derek, I think it's even one step further. People that all of a sudden they have a health challenge and have to quit work, or all of a sudden their work quits them. We talked a few weeks ago about Amazon, how, people were headed to work and all of a sudden they got an email, don't come in, don't enter the property, you're done. All of a sudden you're logged out. I think we're going to have some tough times. But tough times make you better. I love that saying, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And I really believe that.
With stock prices at all-time highs, there's a lot of big names out there. Amazon's Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, him from Meta. A lot of these guys are selling off millions of their company's stock. And there are some analysts saying that, this whole cash out could be due to the election, possibly shaking things up this fall, possibly leading to a downturn in share prices in the next few years. Bottom line is there a market crash coming our way? Do we all need to kind of get our protection gear on and prepare and hold on tight?
I'm not going to be one it's a market crash, but there will be a market pullback for sure. And Steve, we differ a little bit on that. I think that you think it's going to be a little bit more of a crash than I feel, but I think as a whole, I think we're in partnership here, Steve, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's about getting a market downturn protection plan in place.
100%.
Yeah, it's, once again, this is control what you can control, guys. And will the market crash in the next 20, 30 years? Absolutely. I will tell you that. I'm not going to say it's going to crash in the next year, but in the next 20, 30 years of your life, there will be a market crash. Mm-hmm. So having proper allocation, diversification, and having a plan in place if that happens is paramount. I talked to a new client that we just took on, and we were talking about risk and everything. He said, I think there's a big market downturn crash coming in. And I'm like, okay, so we walked through it and everything. He says, but I know, Derek, from what we've talked about, that's my time to buy, baby. I'm going to throw things in. He even has a classic car, guys. His plan is if the market tanks, he's going to sell that classic car and throw it into the market. Wow. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, there's a lot of different strategies there, but it will happen at some point. So don't guess. You cannot guess. I promise you. Doesn't matter how smart you are. There are people way smarter than me that tell you this. Warren Buffett's one very famous for that. He doesn't try to time the market. He knows he can't. So having proper things in place and having a plan in place to protect you from that downturn is paramount. What do you think, Steve? So crash, drawback, where do you stand still on that?
Well, what I think is, Derek, is it depends on how much you will let it affect you. Whatever kind of plan you have in place, it can be worked to your advantage for a lot of people. Past times we've had huge corrections, our clients have all of a sudden Rothed their pre-tax dollars, and when it was at the lowest point and paid the least amount of taxes, then the market went back up and they had tax-free income for life. So it's when you seize the opportunity of the market. I think that's what's important. And I love what you say so often about give me 2 hours versus your boss 2 more years. I think that's huge.
Yeah, well, and Steve, this kind of made me think of what strategy you use where when you diversify into an annuity, like you're kind of famous for around the panhandle there, right, Steve? But when the market drops, you've diversified with your clients and everything where you could take those penalty free, all that money that's in the annuity, and you could funnel it back into the market too to take advantage of that dip. But having that diversification is key because if 100% of your funds are affected by that market, you don't have anything else to throw in there. So going into annuity for protection, things like that is, I like that strategy you use. So.
It's opportunities. I mean, it's, having options. That's what we really do by people having a plan. If this happens, we're going to do this. If that happens, no, we're going to move over and do this. It's having a plan. During COVID, our clients didn't stress out as much because they knew they had a great emergency fund. They were in place for something like that to happen. And, a lot of people are talking, if you start to hear the rumblings out there that we're going to have some craziness before the election, pandemic and stuff. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's all talk. But, who knows?
That's the bottom line, is that nobody knows. We could speculate all day long. I don't have a crystal ball. You don't have a crystal ball. What we do know is what comes up must come down when it concerns the market. Warren Buffett said it best. Retirement is all about income, income, and income. And, just as you are trying to make sure you're taking advantage of these opportunities, Derek, what's the best way that our listeners can sit down with either you or Steve one-on-one?
Oh, several different ways. First of all, is just to call. Call in off of this line here. And, you offer a lot of opportunities there, Steve, to get a hold of us, right? So on our website, you can log, even if you just have 15 minutes, that question that Steve mentioned previously, that if you just have that burning question you need to call and get answered, go to retiredtexasstyle.com, and there'll be right in the middle of the screen, 3 little boxes there where you can ask a question and the quick 15-minute phone call from us, guys. If you want a full-blown retirement analysis, you can schedule that too. So, you can give us a call. You can go to the website. You can even go to our main website. You could even just email us if you want to get a hold of us. So we have a lot of different ways to get a hold of us.
Target date funds are more of just like a set it and forget it mutual fund that starts at higher risk investment. And then as you get older, it becomes more conservative. In 2020, new rules allowed a guaranteed income component to be included in target date funds. So while we've seen about a dozen or so versions with annuities, Morningstar's Jason Kephart says there's not much investor interest.
There's a lot of complexity and education that needs to be done to kind of get people to understand these and understand what they're getting into and what their options are. So I think it's not the easy button, but it's a step forward that kind of makes things easier for people who do want to annuitize a portion of their income in retirement. But I think it's too soon to say whether or not these target dates with benefits are really going to take off.
Interesting here. So, again, lots of uncertainty when it comes to the future. And if someone wants to have guaranteed income, which let's face it, I think we're all after that, especially when we lose that paycheck every 2 weeks. How do we create this?
Not a fan of target date funds as a whole. Steve, I'm with you. I know we've talked about this several times. They're passively done. So no one is sitting down and talking with you and getting to know you, getting to understand your finances or life or anything when you go into these. These are just strictly based upon your age. And people are a lot different. I mean, your age sometimes has some to do with how you want to invest and how much income you need and things like that. But very rarely, other than risk, does age really factor in, because you can have two 70-year-old people that are completely different type of risk takers. So when we talk about guaranteed income, I think it's one of those things that we don't try to do a Swiss Army knife situation here. Don't try to get a fund that does everything, because you will get something that doesn't do everything as well as other things such as annuities that provide guaranteed income. Get an annuity separate from your market funds. There's great annuities out there that do great things. So get a portion of your funds into annuity with lifetime income if that's what you need. Get your funds in the market that are, for growth or whatever your other goal is there. There's not a one-size-fits-all target fund you can go into or target strategy or anything like that. There's different strokes for different folks kind of thing. So this is all about diversification and making sure what each portion of your funds is designed to do. And that way you'll limit fees and you'll accomplish your goals a lot better. Because I've seen a couple of those target date funds with that income, and it is high in fees, guys. We're talking, man,
horrible
they are
fees.
Yeah, somebody's getting paid and it ain't you. So, anyways, what do you think, Steve?
Oh, that's 100%. I agree that. But you know what's so important, Derek, is having an income strategy outside your growth money is so important. And a strategy that you can outlive, but also your spouse can outlive. And that's what's really, really important. And when you have time on your side, if you're 59 and a half and you can take control of your retirement funds, we won't get into it today much, but get away from those 5, 6, 7% fees that you're having in your 401k. I mean, they're crazy. You can take control of your money and then segregate some of that money for that income strategy. And absolutely, you need some money for growth. Of course you do. People don't think about income till 24 hours before they retire, when they really have three or 4 years on their side, or 5 years, to let that roll up at 9% every year. So whatever the income is, letting that roll up each year at 9%. It's not about, like people think, they come in and kind of beat their chest and they talk about, how much money they have. No, it's how much income you can generate in retirement. That's what it's about. And Derek, I think with the inflation we're having buckets of money to turn on later for more income. We used to tell people it'd be, 5 or 7 years. It's going to be 3 years. I mean, you're going to need it the next year. You just can't turn it on yet. I mean, I think it's really, really interesting what's happening. I don't know. I just think that I think this economy and people that have planned for retirement and really gotten started a little bit early, it's never too late to start, is really going to separate the men from the boys in this next generation. I really believe that.
Well, definitely make it where everybody's not doing knee-jerk reactions and things, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, having a plan in place is the best way to go, and making sure that if you do need income later on. And, Steve, Jess, the biggest thing right now is I just talked to a gentleman the other day. He called in and never talked to him before or anything, but we started to talk, and he said, Derek, my advisor that I have, and he was down in Midland, Texas, and he said, my advisor never talked to me about long-term care. Now my wife needs long-term care, and it's $6,000 a month. And he says, it's bleeding me dry. And so we started to go over a couple of different strategies to help him. But, I mean, he's in his 80s now, guys.
Derek, so many of our income strategies have the doubler. So all of a sudden, after 90 days and you need confined care, boom, you can turn that on, and that's a 5-year benefit. And what's neat about it, even if it's your IRA money, your spouse can use it. We've had situations where one of the spouse used it for 2 years, and they got healthy and got back out, and the other spouse used it for 3 years. So it's a combo. That's the great thing. All of a sudden you're getting $6,000 a month, and for 5 years that can double. I mean, real money. We're talking about real life strategies here. Derek, a lot of people, I think these days, that can't qualify for long-term care could use one of our income strategies and just use that. If you need long-term care, then we have a plan too that if you don't use it, you get the death benefit. So, it's a win-win. So when people are older like that, sometimes if they're not too old, they can look at one of our income strategies and just use that income if you need it for health, out-of-pocket medical expenses, long-term care. I think it's a great way, Derek. It really is. Just to put your head in the sand and say, well, it's not going to happen to me. Derek, my grandmother was in the nursing home for 12 years. After 6 months, she walked every day, and she lived in Dalhart, Texas, and she walked. A block away was this park. Well, we knew she walked, but she got where she didn't remember she'd walked, so she was back down there an hour walking again. So, once we realized the problem, I started having care stay with her. They couldn't find her. Well, she was at the park again. She had slipped out. And, she'd walked for 4 hours. And, she got so thin. We finally couldn't keep her at home, so we put her in assisted living. Well, that didn't work, so we put her in a nursing home. But, Derek, 6 months into it, she did not even know us at all. And, I went by to see her every day. I wasn't there 3 minutes just to check on her, took food to the help. But, I'm going to tell you something. You got to plan for it. And health, and nursing homes back then were cheap compared to what they are today. It's expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to talk to us about hedging against long-term care, and also let's look at these guaranteed income annuities where you can really enhance and make a combination product that'll protect you from those needs in the future, give us a call today. If this is a right fit for you, we're going to let you know and let you take advantage of this, because it's really important to plan for these type of things that we're talking about in advance, guys.
If you'd like to sit down with Steve and Derek or a member of the Hoyle Financial Group, visit retiretexasstyle.com.
By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Steve Hoyle, Texas Insurance License 716036. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Hoyle is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Hoyle is licensed in your state, please call 806-371-9473.